All right. Good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson of the Ring and Hire Show. I'll tell you what, before we get going, you got all the peak season, right? Everybody's in the staffing and it's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to do part two of 101 tough conversations to have with your employees. And part one was really good. And I still have some more to show you here and discuss. And I'll be right back after this. All right. Hey, I wanted to talk tonight again, like I told you, 101 Tough Conversations to Have with Your Employees. And it's by Paul Falcone. He's going to be on the show on October 18th. I put up the event. It's going to be a good time. It's on a Sunday night, and we're going to discuss a lot of his great books that he has. And like I told everyone before, the meaning of this book, for me, I was reading it and I couldn't put it down because if I would have had this book back in 1980, late 80s, 90s, it probably would really have helped me in a lot of situations. When you read this and you go through it, there are some serious conversations that you don't want to have. And it's the little things that really set you apart as a leader. And years ago, you just, I don't know, you didn't really do much. I mean, you would just tell them to knock it off or something like that, but you didn't have all today's world, all the laws and all the labor laws, all that like you did back then. But what I wanted to talk about, there was a few of them to start out with that you need to really talk about and confront. Is the first one, this is part two of the show, so is suspected alcoholism or substance abuse. I mean, that is a hard thing to confront, because sometimes it'll be your employees that'll come to you and say, hey, I think this person's been drinking, or they smell of alcohol or marijuana, some kind of they're not themselves, right? And if you smell that, hey, Steve, I see Steve watching. If you see somebody that's suspected of alcohol, listen, you need to confront that right away. It makes no sense not to, especially with substance abuse, any alcoholism. Listen, it's a hard discussion to have. And if you have them in the office, there he is, Mr. Stephen Farrell, all the way in Utah. I'm still trying to figure out what Steve does in Utah, but he does do great staffing out there. I always bust on him, but in Utah, there he is, Stephen Farrell. Hey, but alcoholism, you got to bring it up. I would always bring something like that with human resources now. Human resources would be involved with this one. I don't believe I would probably tackle it besides bring the employee in. But if you've smelled it on the person, or you feel it and you don't say something, you don't bring that employee in, that is not going to work nowadays. You need to confront the issue. And there's ways that I like the way Paul puts it in the book here is there's examples. And you can see I highlighted a lot of them. There's examples of what you can do and what to expect from a person that you're having into your office about situations like this. Again, alcoholism and all that, I would have an HR director probably handle this one with me. But years ago, you were just on your own, and that was the way it was. The next one, lack of sensitivity and protocol email censoring. Listen, everything you utilize on on your computer, your laptops and everything. Listen, they can tell. A company knows what you're looking. They can, they can censor your emails. A lot of people don't take that seriously, but again, I like to go back, and in today's world, you really got to be careful. But again, this gives you great ways of just confronting the issues, and he gives you two. There he is. Hey, Bob. Hey, Bob, you've been doing a lot of posting. I see. Congratulations on that. You're doing a really good job. I've been reading them all. And all these are great colleagues to reach out to. But you really got to be careful. And what I like about the book, again, is Paul gives you examples, what you can expect. So if you're bringing somebody in, saying you're having email censoring and all that, you have to confront it. If you're not nervous inside, listen, I don't care. I've been doing this now for over 25 years. And if you don't have nervousness in your stomach to confront these issues, still something's wrong. Because I say when you get too lax as a leader, they can catch you off guard. And I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Your other employees are watching you while you do nothing. So this is, again, tough conversations. What do you do about it? What do you do with somebody, again, alcoholism, can't take constructive criticism? Listen, there's some people that just cannot take it. No, I can. But what would you do? I ask everybody is, what would you do if you have somebody that cannot take constructive criticism? It really puts into your team that can really, really cause issues. And if you don't have that conversation, that one can get slipped right by you. But be prepared for two different scenarios. What could happen when you do bring him in on a good note, what you say, which is in the book, or what you could expect the wrong way. And that's what I like about this. This is great for it's great for anybody, but for someone new, this is a really great guideline that doesn't really have all the information that they should have. Badgering and challenging one's supervisor, and I'm sure Steve and Bob can attest to this. If you have somebody that's really pushing your buttons, they're really pushing it, they're badgering you, you're challenging your decisions, those are the things you need to do, is bring them back and have a conversation with them in the office. If you don't, that one there can really get you, because if you're standing there and you got somebody that's constantly challenging you, you feel it. You feel that when that person's doing that to you, you just feel irritated. And again, back in the day, I would have just let it go, and then you didn't hope it come back. You'd be like, oh, geez, it does not go away. These things that we're discussing will actually, they're going to show you and the things that can happen to you, and you don't know how to react. Not everybody knows to do this because they don't want to. They don't want to get involved. They want to sit back, but your employees will see it. The next one, this one's really a good one to confront, is as simple as it seems: lack of teamwork and relationship building skills. Again, if you have someone that just does not want to work as a team, what do? Just let it go. You got your team all around. You're pumped up. You're telling everybody what we're going to do today and all that. And then you have that one person that just really has to throw that negativity in there. And then it throws the balance right off. It throws that balance right off between all the people, because your team feels it now. So do you pull the person in, or do you set it aside? Again, this gives you some great resources of how you want to say something. A lot of this is about communication in the book. Again, it's in the book. And that's what I like about having Paul on the show on the 18th, is I want to ask him a lot more questions in depth of what he means on some of these things here. This one, laziness and lack of commitment. There he is. Hey, Alex, there he is. How you doing, sir? It's been a while. All the way in Colorado. And wow, we got Utah here too. But if you have laziness and lack of commitment, if a person is lazy, right? You, as a leader, and a supervisor, which person that is. If they're lazy, because you're saying it, oh my God, that person's lazy. And then you got all your employees saying, oh, they're lazy, and lack of commitment, But if you don't, again, pull that person in. See, all these things I'm saying as a supervisor or manager, there's a lot that you signed up for. You signed up for being a management and supervisor, so you need to deal with these issues. Because if you don't, through the years, and I only say this, Alex, and I'm sure you could say it's from experience. Everything in this book, that's what I said, I'm blown away by, because I've encountered so many of these. And I look back when I read these and I get frustrated, because I'm like, yeah, that happened to me. That happened to me. But if you don't get onto somebody that's lazy, pull them in the office, have that conversation with them. And the way you say it, the way you start that meeting is the most critical. It's how, as a leader, what you want to say, how you're going to start that meeting. Keep it calm. Tell them how you feel, how they feel, and bring up the conversation. Like he says in here, this is uncomfortable for both of us. So what scenario do you think if you're going to tell somebody, listen, I feel you're lazy? I don't know what I'd use there. I'm still trying to figure what kind of word I would use to say, I'm having you in the office today because you're lazy. I don't know. The wording, this kind of gives you the skill set of what you want to say. I think I would come out and probably just say that. Coworker jealousy and employees who can't let go of their anger. Oh, geez. Let's see. Here's Bob or Alex. You have to have those hard conversations, do it in a productive way. If they can't change, you have to part ways. And Alex, that's right on there. I feel in this book, and you got to get this, Alex. We're going to have Paul on the show October 18th. It's on a Sunday night. If you don't, you can't get them personally. You can't get the hard conversations in a productive way, like he says. It's going to come to an ending where you're not going to be able to keep the person on. It's just the way that is and what you say. All right, we got Kenny on tonight. Savor the flavor. Awesome for sharing your delectable. Kenny's an awesome person on the show all the time, and please reach out to him. And Ken, we're talking about, again, the book here, 101 Tough Questions. There's just so many different things as a leader that you could say. You could say that they don't seem like they're putting in the same effort. See, thank you, Alex. And in here, it gives you different scenarios. That right there, effort, besides saying lazy. Maybe knowing me, I would say lazy. Oh, you're just lazy, man. Just come on, get to work. But you can't do that nowadays. Because that's going to bite you in the butt. That's going to come back at you in a meeting some time ago. Later on, you're going to be like, damn, why did I say that? Or the words you said. The next one, like I said, about the jealousy and who can let go of their anger. Listen, other employees on your team might be jealous of you always speaking with one of your employees. You're spending more time with one. I get it. And I think what this means a lot of is, listen, if you have somebody that you don't like, or like you don't like that employee, you can't do that. You can't utilize that judgment of yourself to them, because it's not fair. They might not like you or some of the other other people. You don't know. Bob says gossip-filled workers. That right there is where I really believe you need to confront. You need to confront the employees that do this. You can let it go. You can really let it go, but it is only gonna, only gonna cause issues when you do that. It's just a fact. You gotta nip that in the butt when they're doing examples like that of constantly stirring up everybody else. Oh, tell us how you really feel. If in this book, if people as a leader do not step up in today's world, right? You got 200, 300, 400 candidates, employees looking at you when you're doing a morning meeting, and you got, let's just say you're out in that warehouse and you're doing, everybody claps their hands and gets everybody pumped up, right? And then you got your few employees that just don't really throw it. They'll just throw it in right there, and it just makes your mood go blue. But that's where I believe where Alex says you could put them to come in and say, listen, you putting much effort to anything, but you nipped it in the butt. You have to nip it in the butt. This next one, oh geez, this is a good one. All right. Stubborn employee challenges, entitlement, resistance to change, or over defensive and hostility. That, let's see, Bob, can't, it will make others leave. Correct. And they actually do, the ones that do their job. Correct. This one here Stubborn employee challenges, entitlement, resistance to change, avert divisiveness and hostility. Think of that. It's almost everything that we've been saying here. You got that one person that just won't let it go, no matter what you've done. And it just takes that one or two, but you got to bring them after the meeting, maybe afterwards. Bring them in for a meeting. Bring them in. Talk to them at the end of the day. Confront the issue. Why are you angry? Why do you challenge me all the time? Why, when the company puts something out, you got to be so negative? You can tell them how it affects you and how it affects them. You know what I mean? Because you just want to be honest. In the book, again, have those conversations. This one, unwillingness to confront problems head on. And that's everything that we just said right there is if you don't hit it right off the bat, you're just going to have continued problems. When you're in a meeting 3 months from now, when an employee has come to you and has complained, or you've seen something and you didn't do anything, and it comes back to you and it said, you did see it, or you did say this, there again, it's going to hit you when you're in that office in that meeting. It's going to hit you like, oh man, I should have said something. And maybe let them go if they won't let it go. Maybe let them go if they won't let it go. You could have to ask that question. That's pretty short and sweet, boy. Let them go, right? Protecting your company from legal liability. Listen, there's a lot of things out there that in here that states how you want to confront those issues and how to have a meeting with the employee, but you got to protect your company. Listen, if you see somebody doing something wrong, something illegal, there's a lot of different things that can go on within the workplace and the office. You need to be vigilant on that, and you need to really stand up. If you see something, bring them in the office, bring it to HR's attention, and there's a way to have conversations to go after it. Bob says that can also jam you up in a lawsuit. That's what I mean. That will come back, and that's happened to me, Bob. Back in the 90s, I didn't confront one or two issues, and it bit me. I was like, I avoided it. I'm being truthful. I mean, if you can't be truthful about it, I'm admitting that I overlooked things sometimes. And I look now and I'm like, wow. I say now you wouldn't be able to get away with that stuff as you did back then. You just weren't able to do that. There's no way you can get away with those things now. There's too many people and too many people talking behind people's backs. And, one of the things was in here was, again, constructive criticism and how to handle it. The other one here, handling group complaints wisely. So let's just say you're in that meeting and you're out there on the floor and, how do you handle the group complaints? If there's a group saying, listen, we don't believe in this. We don't, there's some issues about it. How do you handle that? Do you go out and you talk in front of the whole team? Do you go out and bring one person in at a time? Let's say if there's 20 people and 15 of them are saying something. What do? Again, tough conversations to have. Kenneth, Dave, you were in a lawsuit. Well, yeah. Yes and no, Ken. Yes and no. I'm going to be honest. It didn't go that far, but I believe it could have. But when you're in the leadership and you have other people, your other leaders actually guiding you through it and saying, you better do this or say this, they were great colleagues back then. And, but that was back in the 90s. So those days are gone. The best quality is honesty by far. And I believe in that with handling the group's complaints. I think if you had a group of people complaining, you need to have that conversation with them all. And like Alex says here, quality is honesty. You need to do that. Again, I'm going to continue to say it. These are the little conversations that nobody wants to have. And again, you've signed up for it as a manager. This one here, lack of leadership, resetting expectations when turnover becomes a problem. And we've talked about this numerous times. When you know the reason why you have high turnover, let's just say you had a supervisor's, your turnover is high and it's only on their shift. Leadership, if you turn your back to that, you need to go back to learning skills there, because don't how do you want to say, if you have problems, put them in a meeting and tell them what your expectations are. Let me say it like that. I'm going to word it like that. Your expectation, communicate your expectations to a team of resetting. Now that could be by pulling that supervisor in, manager, whatever, but you need to pull that person in, because that could be part of your problem. Again, it all comes around to one big circle here about lack of leadership. If you're not leading and you're not setting examples, and your turnover becomes a problem, that's it states it right there. What are you going to do? You can't avoid it. So let's see what Ken says. Can we trust you now? That's the truth. Yes, you can trust me now. I follow the book. I follow the book, right? I mean, a lot of these I've been through. This one here, it really gets to me. Negotiating a separation package, right, when there are no progressive disciplinary warnings on file. This is going to be the most irritating one. Oh, here I go. I know it. The most irritating one, because if you take a candidate or an employee, 9-10 years, right? They're working hard. You know, they've been with the company long enough. And if you're trying to negotiate a separation package and you've never confronted it, never. You just said, well, you know what? Let's just terminate this guy. Let's manage this person now. You know, let's just negotiate a salary, let him leave, right? Let him he or she, right? Why? That just cannot happen anymore. And that's when, if your upper management allows it, there is something wrong right there. I'm telling you, because that's a sore spot for me, because you cannot take an employee that's been really good for you, say for 10 years, and all of a sudden you're going to negotiate a separation package. But this will give you scenarios, and not as I'm getting all worked up about that, but some things are personable. Convincing an employee to leave voluntarily when there are no progressive. So now lawsuit. Thank you. That's correct. And here, now you're convincing the employee prior, right, to leave voluntarily. There are no progressive. So that means you're probably saying to them like, hey, you know what? You better leave. There is no way as an employee you can tell when somebody's out to get you. I'll just say it like that. You can tell that pressure. You can tell when that supervisor's on you every day, every minute, that micromanager. But if they're convincing you to leave voluntarily, this is what's wrong today. This is what's wrong with some of the things that I get irritated about. This book is great, though. It gets my blood pressure going. But it's not right. So there's things in here what you can read about, what you can do. But again, that just irritates the living hell out of you. This one, performance review, right? Bombshells. Surprising employees with new information at the time of their annual appraisal. Listen, been there, done that. Try me. So what that's saying is, let's say you're coming in, you've got your review, and you're ready for that raise, right? Then they land something on you that you didn't know about. Time of the annual appraisal that you didn't meet, or you didn't do something. That there is just ignorance, Of course, absolutely, you can tell someone when this is out to get you out. I know it's the way I said that, or the way we even said that there is, they knew when you're out to get you that and that's all I can really say on that. But that's another story. But that's part of the book, all right. But that part about going in your review and them throwing something on you that you didn't know, something surprisingly, the time of an annual appraisal. Oh, wow. This will give you some ideas what to say and how to handle that. But I just get irritated reading it because that's just not right. But it happens. This happens all the time. And I'm glad books like this are out because you can really learn. Listen, no matter how many years, I've learned a lot from this one book, and I ordered another one also. But these are kind of theirs, like probationary termination. I'm going to bring that one up. Probationary termination. So you've got somebody for 90 days or 120 days or anything like that. they put you on probation, right? And you have to terminate somebody. And let's just say it's in the first 30 days. And let's give the employee benefit of the doubt. You always have to ask yourself, personally I do, is did you give them the tools to become successful? Those first 30 days of a candidate, even up to 60, they're feeling the company out. And if you're not giving them the necessary tools to succeed, or if you didn't confront other team members, like we said in here, other team members that are causing issues, it's all one big circle of just the same stuff over and over and over. And if you don't correct that problems on the outside of the ring, you're in trouble, because you're putting new employees into that environment and they pick up on everything that you see and hear. That's just the way it is. Again, my annual evaluations or appraisals, as you call it, are always perfect. No, who would have guessed that? So really, it gives you, when you have to call somebody in to do that, right? When you got to call them in and terminate them, and if you feel that you didn't provide everything and you know that, listen, there's office politics. There's just some things that you have to follow along with. You might not agree with your supervisor or your manager, leader. At the end of the day, you can just voice your opinion to your manager and say, listen, I don't think this is right. Why don't we do it this way? When you call that person in, they weren't given a second chance. Just, again, conversation. Alex says, great question. Did you give them the tools? It is, Alex, because I always want to say I lived there and been there and done it. Years ago, it was different. You just terminated. It wasn't nothing about it. It was probationary period. They're gone. It was a union environment. I was in that situation. You wanted to get them out, while you could. But I love unions, and that's not my point there. But you really need to put the tools into the person. If you've given them everything, and you have them in that office, and you said, let's just say, John, I asked you about this. I told you about this. What can we do for you? Everything should be just calm. What can we do to make you successful? What can we do to make you pick up your production? What can we do if there's something causing problems with you, with another employee or supervisor? They're the kind of things that you want to talk about. Robert, hey, Robert, communication. It's a bank account. If you don't make those deposits, then don't be surprised when you have a negative balance. Robert, I love it. I've heard part of that, but I like you have a negative balance, or you lose someone who just didn't know what they didn't know. I'm going to leave that one up there for a second. That's exactly everything that I just said in a nutshell right there. If you don't give that person, and this is what it's about, a conversation right there, tough conversations that you want to have. It's all about communication. And it says a lot in the book here, the way you say things, the way you discuss in the meeting, the way you tone, where you're sitting, your body language. People pick up on those kind of things. Let's see. Lack of leadership, failure to partner appropriately with human resources. That nowadays is very, very important. When you have issues going on, you need nowadays, in today's world, if it's something that you don't feel that you can handle, that you need to go ahead and you need to talk with HR on it. Human resources there is to protect you, not. Yeah, they do the like letting go, firing, and all that, termination and everything, but they actually are there to help you and guide you. So when it comes to certain different things, make sure you go to your human resources director. I've said it numerous times over and over. There's times even now you think you know everything, you don't. There's so many other things that I've had to ask people, colleagues, hey, what would you do? Or what's the law? What do you need to do? Again, it's the conversations you need to have prior. You need to have those conversations prior to going into that meeting, so you're saying the right things. And this gives you sometimes a different scenario on how that employee is going to act or take action. You don't know how they're going to take when you have them in an office and you're bringing up these subjects. They can get very defensive, and so can you. If you start getting angry, listen, I've been there again. God, Kenny, I got to stop talking about myself. I am a lot better now, but it's experience. Experience becomes knowledge of what you're used to as being a leader and talking to people. Listen, when I was in the military at 18 years old, you did what you were told, whether you liked it or not. It didn't matter, man. You just, if that person said to do it, you did it. Simple. And it's kind of the same thing here, except that we've gotten away from that a long time ago. I mean, in some of the companies is you don't have that loyalty. You don't have that, hey, let's do it for a team. It's just not there sometimes. But like I said, that was good, Robert, how you said that. The next one, I really have like two more. This book is awesome. Employee theft. Listen, this one is a tough conversation. Let's just, I like talking about yourself. I know, Kenny, I think I've agreed that I've done so many different things here, but it's all about learning. I mean, all I've done is you just learn as you go. And my job and yours and you and Alex and everybody that's been on here, Bob and Steve, is to give that guidance to other candidates, to employees too. I mean, show your knowledge and tell them, pull them aside. Say, if they're a supervisor having problems, say, listen, there could be somebody that's taking things from work, theft, right? It can be as little things from a tool to, you might see it. If an employee comes to you and says, hey, I think I saw somebody take something, listen, everybody doesn't know what to do there. When it comes to little things like that, even myself, I go to human resources and I bring in a team because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Because let's just say you can't assume that somebody has taken something just because somebody said that to you. I think you understand what I'm saying. If Robert came to me and said, hey, Alex took a couple things. Okay. And you're telling me, so what do you do? That's the part when it comes to conversations. What do you do if Robert came to me and said, Alex has taken a couple things from work? I saw him. You wouldn't just run to Robert or Alex and say, hey, Bob, Robert told me this. It's some serious conversations here, because if you're taking something from the company, I don't know how I would confront all those issues right now. If you were to ask me, I don't know. I'd have to be in that scenario. And that's why I said, I don't care to them how many years experience you have. HR, bring them in on the conversations, because then maybe they can look at cameras. A lot of people don't realize that you're on videos everywhere. A lot of the logistics centers and all that kind of around here, you are on video of everything that you do. So they might go, let's take it to the video, but again, the part of it is just about what are you going to say to have that conversation. The next one is threats of violence in the workplace. Listen, that is just common sense. That's automatically human resources or your managers. That doesn't really have to bring up anything like that, because if you don't bring that up, if you don't see something, if you don't hear something and you don't say something to your leader or your human resources, these are the conversations that you need to have with some of your employees, because they don't know what to do. They wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do sometimes if there's threats of violence. I mean, I would go right to human resources or higher leaders, but until you're in that position, you won't know. And these are the kind of things that you need to get behind your belt. You need to read some of these things to give you an idea of what you can expect as becoming a supervisor when you see this. One of the other one, time card fraud. All right. A lot of them, listen, in the 80s and 90s, you had your time cards, and some companies still do that, but the majority of them are fingerprints now, your thumb. There is ones with just your badge. Now, we have had a lot of instances where the badges, people will swipe other people's badges for them, that they've been at work. I've seen it. I've done it. We always had to confront that, because you'd be like, wait a minute, that person was off. They didn't get paid for 40 hours. They weren't there. Alex, I had a coworker that was stealing, and I had to tell our owner. It was hard because they couldn't prove it. That got really messy. I ended up leaving because how uncomfortable it was, because he knew, I told them they couldn't fire him. That's right there. Right there it is. That's exactly what I'm talking about, because you cannot assume. And unless if you're ready to bring it on, you got to really, you got to watch. You really have to talk to a colleague, a manager, HR, again, human resources. I'm on this, because It will, like he just said, made him leave, made Alex leave, and that's probably the truth there, because you can't prove it, and if you don't have anything on the person, you know. But the time card fraud, I've seen it. Swipe the badge for the person. They'll take your badges and they'll swipe. Wait a minute here. That person hadn't been to work in 2 days. Again, how do you confront it? Again, how would you confront those kind of issues? I got 2 more. Yeah, 2 more. 35 minutes already. So with the time card, employee theft, sexual harassment, insubordination. Listen, when it comes to insubordination, this will give you some great ways. I've done it on the floor, which I probably would have. I always want to make sure that I pull them into the office now, because I've had tough conversations on the floor. I like to bring them in an office now. Years have changed. Again, things have changed. You could say things on the floor, but you don't know what's going to happen. It can explode so fast with a conversation that something's going on and you're both hot-headed. It can just go, and then before you know it, you're both in trouble. You're both in trouble because the leader, supervisor, didn't bring you in, have the conversation in the office. That's just the way it is, and that's how things go down. And when you read some of this, it's just going to give you some insights of what you can do. Last one here. Let's see. Layoff position eliminations. Let's see, Kenneth. I love what I do every day. I work it every day. Well, Kenny, I would hope so. You've been doing it for 33 years, but you know what I mean there is, listen, there's a lot of people out there will try to get away with everything. They will. They will test you as a supervisor as much as it is, but you have signed up for it. You became a leader. You became a supervisor. This all comes with the territory. So when you complain about it, and if you're not doing anything, that's what I'm trying to get to the point there is. In closing, I'm not going to worry about that. We'll talk about it on part 3, I guess. But when you've taken on that leadership role, in closing, you have taken it on. So if you're going around complaining to everybody, it's you. Nobody else. You shouldn't have taken the job. Knowing this here, again, if I would have had this back in the 90s, a lot of this probably wouldn't have happened, but things were different. Things are different now. But what I always say towards the end is, on this is, human resources is your knight in shining armor. You want to say your background. Yeah, they got your back. You will never go wrong by going to your human resources if you have a problem, because if you're asking them a question, they will find the answer for you. They have to. If you've gone in there to your HR, you're having problems with somebody like we've talked about, it's all a big circle. It all comes back to like what Alex said is communication, 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 communication. That's all it is. Communicating with everybody effectively of what the problems are, what you see, what you should do, versus all the rumors going around that, well, Dave's not a good supervisor. Kenny's awesome. Why is Kenny awesome? Dave's not. Why is people leaving on date shifts, not on Kenny? But they like Alex. You know what I'm saying? Over and over and over. But I'm going to leave it on that. I want to make sure everybody knows, though, Paul, he's got a couple books out. And I ordered the other one. It's Firing and Hiring. I'm excited to get that one in on Thursday. But we're going to have him on the show. It's on a Sunday night, October 18th. And I did put the event out there, and I think you're going to like it. You'll like it. So order it. 101 Conversations. All right. So everybody, thanks for being on the show as always. And I can't find it here. See, it's been a long night. I will see you tomorrow night.